All right, guys, now we left off on Charles Darwin, okay? And Charles Darwin, by studying animals on the Galapagos Islands, he discovered that some of the animals that were on the islands and are secluded on the islands were a little bit different than the same animals you would find on the mainland. Now, what he is trying to prove right here is that these animals evolve to fit their environment, okay? Over time, okay, these animals would develop variants, and it was spontaneous, but it gave them a slight advantage over the other animals just like them. They have a special little adaptation, a special little power. Okay? Now, by having this advantage, they're more able to survive in society, or in their natural society, in their natural habitat. And they're able to pass this on to their offspring as well. So whatever advantage they had, the offspring of that animal would have the advantage as well. Well, I think you can kind of understand here with natural selection, the animals with the advantage, whatever advantage that is, okay, they're the ones that are going to survive, while the animals that do not have those advantages, they will die off. Okay, and you probably have heard the phrase survival of the fittest. The animals that were most fitted for their environment, they're the ones that are going to survive. Okay, now, here's the thing. With On the Origins of On the Species, he's talking about birds, all right? It's not very controversial yet because he hasn't applied it to humans, okay? Well, that's all going to change in 1871. In 1871, Darwin is going to propose in his book, The Descent of Man, that man does not come from a divine creator. Okay, whatever religion you believe, man does not come from, a supreme being and special in his image. Man comes from previous, more primitive life forms, and over millions of years, man will develop like a slight variant. And then they'll go a couple 100,000 more years and develop another slight variant, which produces the man of the 19th century, which was superior to all living things in the world. Okay? Now, look, I think you can understand how controversial this is going to be, especially in 19th century Europe, where, look, maybe the church isn't super powerful, but pretty much everybody is a Christian that believes they are endowed, they are an image of God. God made man in the image of himself. Well, now you're not saying that. Okay, you're saying that God or man came from a lower life form. Okay, and look, this is going to be very, very controversial, and you'll see even in APUSH next year that when people start teaching this, a lot of people are not going to like it. Even today, arguably, people don't like the teaching of evolution. Okay, or the theory of evolution. Okay. All right. Now, finally, the last thing I want to talk about is a slight variation to Darwinism. It's going to be known as social Darwinism. And this is going to be very, very important when we start talking about new imperialism, okay? So, with social Darwinism, okay, and it's taking the idea of survival of the fittest, you're taking it out of the natural world, and you're placing it in global society. You're taking it in society as a whole, okay? So what they're saying is that on a micro level, if you are rich, if you are successful, you have the variant, okay? You will become most fitted for your society. You will pass those traits on to your children, and they will become more fit for the society. And we're going to see that the society only gets better because the only people that survive to the next generation are the most fit from the previous generation. Now look, that ignores a very, very interesting question of, well, what happens to the people that are not fit? What do you do with them? Well, a lot of times they say they just die off, which is obviously very cruel, okay? Now, also, social Darwinism is going to play a very large part in imperialism. okay? When these Europeans are going around the world and dominating African and Asian societies, they're going to use social Darwinism as a justification for doing this, okay? They believe that societies are just like people, or just like animals. The most fit, best society will win over the inferior society. Okay? So a lot of times these Europeans, they're going to go to parts in Africa and parts in Asia and say, your society is inferior, you need to adopt our ways of doing things because it is superior. Okay? All right, so you can see how that will get you in a lot of trouble as well too. All right, guys, we're going to come back tomorrow and we are going to finish up with reforms in Russia and reforms in the Ottoman Empire. See you later.